Hello, my friends. Welcome back to my channel. So it's December, and if you consume YouTube, you know what that means. It is vlogmas. And I am a big consumer of YouTube. I love a variety of different YouTube channels out there, and vlogmas is my favorite time of year as a consumer and somebody who's looking for entertainment. And I did vlogmas last year. I did 12 days of vlogmas. I made it through all 12 days on my channel, and it was super fun. It was a really fun challenge for me. I actually make a lot of content anyway over here, so it's not that much different from what I do, but I actually want to start a little bit earlier. And I don't know if I'm gonna make it through every single day, but I do kind of have some fun stuff planned, some creative projects, things to share, as well as maybe some little peeks behind the scenes, vlogging style over here of my personal life. So I wanted to kick things off the way that I actually kick off the beginning of December for myself as a working artist. I spend my entire year creating online content, classes, virtual retreats. I sell my art and products throughout the year, which means I have a lot going on 24/7. What I do in both my classes, what y'all see on YouTube, what I sell is actually what I do for a living. I am a working artist. I'm one of those anomalies out there that is able to support myself and my entire family with what I do with my creativity. But what that means is there's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of kind of stress of running a small business, and there's a lot of mess. Okay, and this is where the mess and the magic happens. I'm standing here in my studio. I just wrapped picking up after about 6 months of not doing a big organize and clean because I have been running nonstop through projects, deadlines, things that I committed to for the last 6 months. And I've had time to kind of pick up after a project, but when it comes to actually like getting stuff organized, pulling stuff out, recycling, getting rid of things, moving stuff around, I finally had time. And this is usually when I do it. It's the beginning of December because I typically meet a lot of deadlines with Black Friday stuff, with sales, and then I jump into all of the stuff I have planned for the new year, which is coming very soon in a lot of the things that I'll be announcing. So I thought it would be fun to bring you into my real life as a working artist and take you along with me with basically what I do at the beginning of December, which is clean, organize, get myself just thinking in a little bit more organized way. A lot of what I do as a small business owner and as a solopreneur is manage a lot of different projects. I create art, I do all the filming myself, I edit myself. My husband runs a lot of the accounting and business side of things, but it's really just the two of us. And that means for a good portion of the year, I'm running around in a very chaotic, messy, creative way. Something I do in my studio and when I am creating is I give myself the space to make a mess when I am working on projects. And then I know at the end of that project, eventually I will clean up, I will get things put back together. But if I feel pressure to get really precious with my space, as well as, taking lots of time to reorganize or move things around, I kind of lose track of time and get a little bit distracted. And so I give myself these really big chunks throughout the year. It's usually 2 or 3 times a year where I will then take a day or two and just come in and really do a good cleaning. But this is my space. It is outside of my home, so this is where I have the permission to be messy and perfect. I don't really want this space or need this space to be a perfect situation, but it is a place that I create art. I have a little bit of like hangout spots. I have a filming area, and I'm gonna give you all a tour. But the first thing I'm gonna do is take you behind the scenes of just a little peek into cleaning, and then I'll meet you back here and give you a little tour around this space and talk about kind of the things that I do in each of the little areas and what it kind of looks like, I guess, if you are running a business as a creative or as an artist, and what a space, at least like my own, looks like over here behind the scenes. So first, let's go back in time about 2 days ago when I took about 8 hours, a good solid work day, and just did as much cleaning as I possibly could fit into my day. I'm gonna take you along for a little bit of a peek inside that, and then we will walk around my studio for a little tour. So it took me a good day to get my studio cleaned up. Again, as I mentioned in my intro, when I am working on projects throughout the year, whether it's a week-long project or a 2-month-long project, creatively, it's really important for me to just give myself permission to be messy. If I get too caught up in details of keeping things all perfect and clean, I almost lose track of time, or I will lose my inspiration or the things that I am working on. For my fellow artists out there, I think a lot of people can probably relate. Like when you're in the groove, you don't necessarily want to stop and like clean everything up and go into cleaning mode. So I have over the years really given myself permission to be messy, to let things just happen in this space. Again, this is not my living space, so it's a little bit easier to do. So then I'm able to kind of just be inspired however I see fit. And then when those goals end, sometimes it's just a quick cleanup. Other times, like right now, I am overdue for cleaning and organizing things just a little bit. So I'm gonna take you around my studio and I'm gonna show you what I've got going on. I do have an upstairs that is storage space and then an office, and I probably will not take you up there because it's embarrassing. That's my next project, is actually getting my storage space really cleaned up and organized. But my downstairs is what I utilize for my creative space. Little fun fact about my history, I actually teach a lot of live retreats. It's how I got started teaching many years ago. And for about 10 years, I was teaching live retreats here in my studio. I would often have to clean everything out, just clear out my entire downstairs and then set it up classroom style 2 to 3 times a year. But when COVID hit back in 2020, it was like the perfect excuse to take a break from teaching live. And now insert 4 years? Almost 4 years. I'm really enjoying not teaching live yet. I probably will again soon. I have plans to hopefully travel and teach, do a lot of different things live, but I love having my studio space all set up throughout the year so I don't have to clean it out and prepare for people to come in. And so I've set up these different stations in my own space where I have a filming station, a creative station, a chill station, and then throughout all my different projects, all the different things that I film, I kind of move around through those stations. So I'm going to show you what that looks like, talk a little bit about what those things are and why I utilize them, and maybe this will give somebody out there a little bit of inspiration when it comes to your own creative space. All right, so if you take a look at the span of my studio space, this is what it looks like. I'm standing with my back like pressed up against the front door, and this is what the entire space looks like. We've got the downstairs here, and then you've got the upstairs right there with just a small little storage. Could be used as a room. It's kind of like an attic type of space, but that's where I keep a lot of my excess supplies, all my storage, all the stuff that often creates a mess. But as you walk in on your left-hand side, I've got my space split up. So I have right here what is called a movable wall. There are no permanent walls down here that divides up space. And back in the days when I worked in a gallery, this was something that was commonly used, were movable walls where you could reposition how you have a gallery show. And I love the idea of having that in my space. So I've got one right here in the front. And then over here, when we make our way back there, you will see there's also another one here, which kind of divides up another storage space behind the back. And I love these movable walls because I can reposition my space. Again, if I'm teaching live in here, I move them around so I can fit tables. But I decided for myself this year, I just like having a little nook, a sitting nook, a place where I can read, draw, work on my laptop. I have a little lunch table for myself. I spend a lot of time here. There are times where I actually stay the night here as well, just so that I kind of can keep working. But I like to have a little creative space. I've always had a little sitting area in any studio I've worked in, whether it was a guest room or a larger room. And now in this space, it's just important for me to have like a chill space where I can sit. I also have people here. My daughter comes here and works on her own art. My husband comes here. If I'm having guests here, we will hang out in this space and then go create together. So this is just the front little area. And everything in here has basically been thrifted or made or repurposed. So I don't tend to like to buy new stuff for my studio just because I'm really messy. So, you know, my husband will make me furniture. I have repurposed furniture that we didn't get rid of. I've made pillows. I've got chairs that my parents were getting rid of that I took and then reupholstered, recovered them. I am definitely somebody who likes to turn something old into something new with like a coat of paint or repurpose it, cover it in fabric. You're not going to find me buying anything brand new for my studio for the most part, because I like to just make use of what I have or I can find. And I honestly haven't decorated or done much changing things around in quite a while. So this is my little nook in the front. I'm going to take you to the next side of the space. Right, so on the other side, I have a big table, a big workspace. This is where I can spread out. Often when I am glazing pottery throughout the year, if I'm making products, this is the space that I sit at. I don't have plans to do that anytime soon, and that is why it is so clean and fresh at the moment. But I like to be able to spread out because I often work quite large or I work on a lot of things at once. This is actually just 3 conference tables pushed together with a lot of like drop cloths over the top of it. I was given a bunch of conference tables from our local community center here. So again, another free thing here in my studio that I have put to use. This is kind of my little storage corner. I have a treadmill here that I actually work and walk on. This is where I kind of get my exercise in. Little easel for painting, but this is my corner where I just kind of drop everything that doesn't have a place when I arrive. I'm usually hauling like my laptop case, a couple of bags back and forth from home to my studio, my food, my lunch, that kind of stuff. So I drop everything off over here in this corner. And then of course I have my little workout area for my afternoons. All right, so if we head back here to this corner, this is where the magic happens. This is my filming corner. This is where I film my classes, my YouTube videos. It's where I stream, or if I am doing virtual consulting, virtual retreats, it is all happening in this space. And so what I've got is another movable wall that I change out the background. A lot of times I will collage a lot of work on there. I have always had a collage wall in some sort of creative space since I was a teenager, and I have just carried that through to the backdrops of my videos. I'm actually in the middle of changing up the colors of my collage over probably December and January, so I have a new look for some of my videos. But I've got this big corner happening with a nice big wide chair. I am somebody who sits crisscross applesauce in everything that I do. And so I have a big, nice wide chair. I have a table that raises high so that I can stand at it or sit at it. And they are the 2 things that are probably the most valuable to me because I spend a lot of time sitting, I spend a lot of time filming and being on video. And so being comfortable has been really important to me. I've got box lights. I have a couple of them here in my studio that I keep around, and then a tripod with my camera. You can see my tripod. I've got masking tape, blue tape, and a bunch of stuff kind of altering it and holding it together. I'm due for a new tripod, but I just like to make things last as long as possible. So this is a real life look into kind of the nonsense of my filming setup. I often use my Canon 80D, and you can see my lens is covered in paint because I'm often adjusting things, touching it when I have paint on my hands. Most of my cameras look like this. And then I also have this little clip to clip my phone in. I'm often streaming or filming stuff live where I have 2 camera views at the same time, and I like having my phone hooked to one and then my camera hooked to another, and then, you know, like a zoom camera, that type of thing on my computer. And I will say over the years, it's kind of taken me a while to figure out the right setup for myself. It's not necessarily a fancy setup, but I have kind of invested in like my camera, in some of my gear, in my table, my chair. But for the most part, there's been a lot of trial and error behind the scenes over here of figuring out the best kind of setup for me and the way that I film content, the way I film my online classes. Since I do everything myself, like I don't have a camera person in here, I do all my social media content myself, I've really figured out space and backdrops and things that are easy for me to kind of drop into, film something, create content, and then turn it out really quickly. So again, I don't have an editor either. I don't have somebody that edits like my social media videos, that type of thing. And so it's important for me to have stuff kind of set in place that I feel comfortable in, that it feels authentic to me. And so over the years, I have filmed everywhere. I have filmed when I was on a budget and I didn't have fancy lights or gear. I would film at the brightest time of the day underneath a window with daylight. I have filmed on my kitchen table. I have filmed in a guest room, classes and content, but it's really, really great to have some kind of a space where I can spread out and really turn out a lot of content throughout the year. Again, because this is my job and this is what I do to support my family, it's really been important for me to treat my process and my time and my schedule in a way that's relatively organized with still having the permission to be incredibly creative. So I'm not the kind of person who's gonna want a studio that feels like it's, all perfect with nice brand new furniture and fancy drawers and surfaces, and I can't get anything messy or hurt anything. I want it to feel lived in, and I want it to feel like it's an extension of me. And so that's why a lot of this stuff is recycled, upcycled pieces, things that I have found over the years that I can use for storage and pull into all the different areas where I create and do things. But for the most part, I spend a lot of my time here, and I will spend a lot of time changing things around in my background. When I cleaned the other day, I moved a bookcase over here that I'm going to be slowly adding stuff to so it can be part of my background. Often when I'm filming something, I want to be able to just grab things quickly. I don't like going and looking for things. I've really organized this corner in a way that makes sense for me creatively. Somebody else might walk in and go, why does she have all this stuff? Why is all this paint here? Why is this there? But for me, I know exactly where to go, where to pull things out, pull out my favorite pens, my favorite paint. I've got everything within eyeshot as well, so I can quickly grab something if I've got my camera running or if I am working live on some sort of stream or Zoom session. And it's kind of been fun to have this little corner be what I call like my set. It's my filming set, my creativity set, and it's really where a lot of my flat lay videos happen. A lot of what y'all see is at this table, me in this corner filming all of that content. And you will see I have a lot of stuff, everything from a variety of pens to a lot of different brushes. I've got a bunch of paint out with stuff I'm working on right now. Little drawers that are filled with all of my always used supplies, things that I use basically on a daily basis. I also like to keep a lot of my different art journals on hand in some way, shape, or form because I'm always grabbing them to maybe alter, add more layers. Again, more supplies over here. I know at first glance, a stranger would look at this and go, oh my gosh, there is so much happening. But I basically know what is going on, why it's going on. Often things are grouped, even if it looks a bit messy, by project or things that I have in progress. So this is my little filming area. Again, I needed to clean it really bad because it has gotten a lot of wear and tear over the last few months, but I still have a few more things to do, things to organize in my bookcase, things to organize with my supply. So I have a few more projects to do, but for now, it's looking pretty good in this area. So back here, I have another workspace that I moved around and created in this corner. Before it was just a gigantic mess. And for the last couple months, I've been wanting to put another little table over here. Little fun fact, I've got the table, it's a drafting drawing table from my tween years that I used to create on, and I've carried this everywhere that I've lived. And so it was kind of fun to incorporate this into this space over here. It was upstairs, I brought it downstairs, but I wanted another little workspace for computer time. My daughter spends part of the week here with me. She does virtual school, and she is also working on creating her first graphic novel that she's going to be self-publishing this year. And so she needs a couple workspaces as well. So we've got a fun little corner. Projects already have been taking up this space since I even cleaned it. So it's kind of just a fun little space to do work, administrative stuff, another little work area, as well as another little backdrop if I am filming something. So if we move over here, and this is actually behind my front area and that movable wall, I have what we call over here the apartment. It is a fun little bed, day bed we've got just like a cozy little nook. I've got it decorated for Christmas because, you know, that's what I do over here. And then I've got a little fridge, a little food area, a little kitchenette situation going on. And this is where I kind of like to just hang out. Sometimes I will stay the night here and just keep working through the night if I need to. This is also my daughter's little workspace. She's got a desk here and then that other desk. So she's usually using some of this space as well when she is here with me. It's actually just a fun little space, little nook where I can hang out, read, draw, work on the computer. I am notorious for kind of flitting around from thing to thing when I am creating. And it's been really important for me to find little hacks and tricks to stay inspired, to stay relaxed, to actually take care of myself. I'm 48 over here, going on 49 this year, and I have back issues, neck issues. I spend a lot of time sitting at that desk, and I often don't take a lot of time for myself or for just taking care of myself and having downtime. I am notorious for sitting and making art for hours on end. Like, we're talking, I could probably sit and draw and art journal and film classes for 8 hours straight without getting up and doing a lot. Sometimes I will even forget to eat because I am so in the zone. And so last year it was my goal to create a little nook that felt cozy where I could read, I could hang out for a little bit, I could take a nap if I needed to. I created this little nook just so I had a cozy little space that felt like I could take a little bit of a rest and maybe take care of myself a little bit better than I have in the past. I love having my creativity intertwined with spaces that feel homey, cozy, homemade. Again, I am notorious. Back when I made art just on the kitchen table, there was something I really loved about being in my living space and making art. I am notorious at home for making art on the couch or even drawing in bed. It's something that I really enjoy, kind of relaxing, laying back and getting my ideas out. And so I made this little space so that I could kind of have a place that felt cozy. And so we call this the apartment. It is where anybody is welcome in the family to come and hang out, stay inspired if they need to have like a little bit of reading time. We've got snacks, we've got coffee, tea, we've got all the little cozy things in this nook to keep you feeling like you've got a little, like a tiny little corner that feels nice and fun and cozy to work or just relax in. And something I wanted to do with my studio, since I did take a break the last handful of years from teaching live, is create these little spaces that could be used for a specific purpose, creativity, but could also be used as a backdrop or a space for styling things, for creating art. I make a lot of content. This year alone, I created, I think 12 or 13 online classes that are work at your own pace. I have virtual consulting sessions going on all throughout the year where I'm meeting with people. I've had, I think, 5 virtual retreats, 4 virtual retreats this year where I'm creating live throughout a weekend, and I've got, you know, my lights on, my camera on, and at any given point, I like having these little nooks and crannies in my studio. I like having little spaces like this where I can move around and have maybe a different backdrop, a different space to work in, or even have for a video. So if I'm meeting with somebody, if I'm teaching and I want maybe a different backdrop behind me, I've got all these little options throughout my living space. I spend so much time creating content, and I really like the idea of keeping myself inspired and fresh and really making things even for my own space, which really gets my ideas going so that I can share more inspiration with all of you. So yeah, this is my studio space. Again, I don't think I'll be showing my upstairs because it's too messy at this point, but sometime when I get it completely organized, perhaps I'll take you up there. It's really, really a blessing to be able to have a space like this. I spent many years in college as an art major. After college, really struggling with even paying rent. And so my art making was always on a table, on the floor, and I've just slowly been taking teeny tiny steps and have finally been able to have a space like this. And it's really amazing. I feel incredibly blessed. And it was all I really ever dreamed of my entire life, not only to be an artist, but to have a creative space to work on projects, to maybe run a business with creativity. And so this is basically my headquarters where all of that magic, all of that creativity happens. And not a day goes by that I do not feel an immense amount of gratitude for having a space like this for my business and for the ability to make art that I am able to put out into the world. And I am hoping that at the very least, that creativity that results from all of the things I do in this space is somehow, some way making it to you and providing a little bit of inspiration. So that's my studio. Fun little way to kick off Vlogmas. I've got lots of fun stuff planned. We'll see if I can make it through a lot of videos this year. Who knows? We'll see. Just bear with me and just know that I'll do my best to have some good stuff for y'all coming. And again, some behind the scenes of life over here and the goings on in the month of December. So I hope wherever you're at, you're doing well. I hope life is treating you well. And again, you are finding time and space to incorporate a little bit of art or a little bit of creativity.